The B-52s in Rome on Ann Arbor's 107.1. Michael Franti and Spearhead, the sound of sunshine. Well, lucky me. Lucky me that gets to talk to Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, one of the most powerful people in Michigan and one of the nicest people in Michigan. How are you today?
Well, I'm not sure I'm so powerful, but I'm with you and I'm with food gatherers and I'm in home, so I'm happy. And I'm
Yeah.
watching people do good things for
Yeah, it's
people in our
wonderful.
community.
It's a
Yeah,
good feeling,
it
isn't
is a
it?
good feeling.
Well, we all know anyway, but I'm going to run through my spiel. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell has been the U.S. representative for Michigan's 6th congressional district since 2015. She's been a champion of food gatherers' efforts to fight hunger in Washtenaw County. Yes, you have been for many, many years. You've been a longtime advocate for the fight against hunger. Why is this cause so important to you?
You know, I don't think that any child or any adult should go to bed hungry. And I think too many people don't know that in this country, 1 in 6 people goes to bed hungry every night.
Yeah.
I, this is one of the stories I'll never forget. It was, you know, prior to the pandemic, but I was at an after school program and this little boy was looking tired and very sad. And, you know, we all talk to kids. And I said, you just look like all you want to do is go home and have dinner with your parents. And he said to me, we don't eat dinner. We don't have food at home.
Oh.
And that's never left me. And, you know, there are too many children and seniors, you know, that don't have access to food. So it's so important. And the pandemic times made things harder. And there's still a lot of people that are struggling. Or a young child, you have to get the right nutrition to have the
Mhm.
proper start in life to even have hope in a future.
Yeah,
It matters.
yeah. And you don't want them to grow up thinking that that's the norm.
It should not be the norm.
Right.
I mean, I don't want them growing up thinking it's the norm, but I also don't want it to be the norm.
Right.
A child needs the proper nutrition. They shouldn't go to bed hungry. They should be able to get the food that they need. And that's why, quite frankly, programs like SNAP or school food programs matter so much because for many of our children, the only decent balanced meal or the only meal, forget the decent and balanced, they get is what they get at school.
Right. Right. And I've interviewed so many people this week. We've been out here since Tuesday, freezing for a reason. And I've interviewed so many different people from food gatherers and what they do and the food banks. And it's just amazing how many people they have and what they cover. It's just, it blows my mind. People walk up and give $1 because that's all they
Food,
have.
food,
People walk up and give a can of beans because that's all they have.
food gatherers are the angels in our community.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start to cry because I always start to cry when we talk about this. And when we're part of a community, we have a responsibility to it.
Hmm.
And we each need to help in whatever way we can.
Yeah.
So when you're out here, they're collecting food, they're collecting dollars. There's so many different ways that we can give somebody a helping hand.
Yeah.
And it makes us all stronger when we do it. And food gatherers is, they're just the most special place, but they're strong because of everybody who's coming up
Right.
and giving that dollar bill or that can of beans.
Right. And it's a lot to do with Eileen Spring and the
Oh,
people she
she
hires and
is
has around her.
Eileen is an incredible, energetic, compassionate, kind, sensitive, empathetic soul.
And surrounds herself with those kind of
Same
people
kinds of
as well.
people. Yep.
Well, there's 200 food banks in the United States, and here in Washtenaw County, we are served by food gatherers. What is special about them? I think we already answered that
Well, I think we
question,
did
but
because I mean it's the people and the community.
yeah,
It's the volunteers that they have there that are helping. It's the people that are giving food, and they get food in so many different ways. Here we see the food, you know, they're collecting the cans and the donations that way, but many of the farmers help, many of the restaurants
Yes.
help. There's so many different ways that people help contribute the food. And federal government is also a very significant
Mm-hmm.
partner with food gatherers. And I supported food gatherers before I got elected to Congress, and I still support them that way. But I also want to make sure that we're getting the federal dollars and they're getting access to the federal programs we have to
Right.
make sure that nobody goes hungry.
Right. Which was one of my next questions. Food Gatherers relies on donations of food and funds from individuals during Rockin' and throughout the year, but they also rely on support from federal resources too. Correct? Um,
Yeah.
Tell us about the role of federal government in supporting food gatherers in their work in the
Well,
community, or answering questions before I even ask.
federal food resources account for nearly a quarter of the food distributed by this year in 23 from food gatherers. And it accounts for 7.8 million pounds of food. And I mentioned the SNAP program earlier, but SNAP is a lifeline for more than 40 million Americans. Uh, and I think we don't always realize who SNAP's serving. It's helping children, it's
Hmm.
helping families, but it's helping seniors.
Hmm.
And I think one of the things that I've really, there's so many seniors that are alone, have nobody to talk to at all,
Right.
and they can't afford
Oh,
their
I hate
food
that.
and their hunger. And SNAP and food gatherers, and then you've got Meals on Wheels and other
Hmm.
programs are also helping to serve that role. So there are so many critical things, and we just take for granted, some of us just getting up and whatever. We can't ever take basic needs for anybody for granted.
Right. Now, does that answer the SNAP program question?
Do you know that? Well, I mean, 1 in 7 Michiganders benefited from SNAP last year. And 61% were families with children, and 41% were families with older adults or family members who were disabled. But you know what? SNAP benefits more than just the families and the children and the seniors. It helps support local economies. Every dollar spent through SNAP generates an estimated $1.50 in economic activity, which I love is supporting the farmers, supporting the grocery stores like the ones that we're at right now, and other small businesses. I spent a lot of time with the farmers in Western Washington this summer and learned a lot about the partnership of farmers trying to help those on SNAP and getting people to eat more healthy too.
Yeah, that's one thing that
It
Food
is.
Gatherers does as well. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's wonderful.
I talked to a lady that works at Trinity House. She is a nutritionist, and there is actually there's actually a farm at the
Yep,
hospital.
I've been there. I've visited the
Have
farm.
you been there?
Went out to the farm. Yeah, it's and they're also trying to teach. There are a lot of different programs. Growing Hope and IPSI, and everybody works together, but trying to help. Look, I'm a junk food queen. To tell you the truth. Um, but we want our. If you're going to get a right start in life, you do need to learn about proper nutrition. You need to eat vegetables, and a lot of people can start their own gardens. We can have gardens and share what we do with food gatherers and uh, uh, with others in the community. So it really matters. It's really important.
Now, how's Lansing?
Not Lansing. It's worse.
It's
Washington D.C.
Washington D.C. Yes, that's right.
It's been a little dysfunctional, I
Yeah.
guess, is the best way to say.
Well, I guess you can't tell me any secrets, but we love having you there.
Well, I want to bring people together.
Yeah.
We need some hope.
We know that about you. We know
There's
that
a lot
about
of
you.
challenges right now, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that are happening there that are even tearing this community apart. And we got to listen to each other. We got to understand each other's fears.
Yeah.
I'm gonna too much hate. I'm gonna be very blunt. Too much hate in this world. I'm
There
gonna
needs to
stand.
be more people like you there.
No, we got to stand up to hate wherever we see it. And when we are part of a community, which we are, we have a responsibility to it. That's why I'm here for food gatherers. And when we see hate
Yeah.
and other things, we got a responsibility there too.
I think every time you talk, that's the message that you give anyway.
I feel it very
Yeah.
strongly.
Yeah. Well, Debbie Dingell, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
You have a
for,
lovely message, and you always do, and it's always love.
thank you. I
Yeah.
love being here. I love food gatherers. I love Ann Arbor. I love Michigan and I love my country. And I'll stand up for it every time. And maybe I'll end on this. United we stand, divided we fall. And we got to be there for each other, have our backs, and
Yeah.
stay together.
Yeah. On that note, everybody that can hear us right now, we are halfway to our goal, and we have tonight until 7 o'clock to reach 1 million meals for food gatherers. Please get together and get us 1 million meals. Foodgatherers.org/rockin' 734-761-2796 and at Kroger at 400 South Maple Road right here. Debbie Dingell, thank you so much for coming
Thank
out
you.
today. We
Remember,
really
please
appreciate
give.
it.
They got to give million meals.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to come back with the last dinner party on Ann Arbor's 1071.